is I love your process. You said you sort of did some assessment. So, you stay attuned, not in a way that's obsessive, but in a way that keeps you informed. And from that, you know who you are and know what your own personal gifts and talents, but also that you focus on what's in your locus of control, right? If you think about the Stephen Covey principle, right? Like sometimes we have a whole bunch of concerns and we don't focus on what is it that we can control. And you're inviting the audience to think about what's aligned with your gifts and talents, and what is it that you can control, and then where those intersections happen, really to think about the contribution you can make. Is it your time, your treasure, your talent? And this is a community, wherever you are, right? There are a plethora of needs or ways that you can serve, and you're encouraging people to find them and to contribute it in those meaningful ways. And I love that. And so I'm hoping that people are inspired. And then the last thing that I heard you say that I hope people hear is, if it doesn't exist, then you are the one to create it. So it's really tempting to get obsessed about, right? Like all of the no's or structural roadblocks.
Yeah.
But what I know about, especially being a woman of color or a person of color, is we have created opportunities when there hasn't been. And so I know when people say, hey, kids can't go to school, and that means that kids can't learn, particularly kids of color. I was like, Black people learned during slavery, right? So if, where there is a will, there is a way, and we can be innovators and creators. And so let's not focus on the can'ts.
So let me tell you about the Will and the Way project that I'm working on.
Okay, I love it. Please do.
As I said, I'm in my final year of my doctoral program, and I lost my funding for school my last year. And so I've just been working to cover tuition. And I have in my research proposal that I wanted to provide a stipend for the youth who participate. And again, no funding. What do I do? Well, years ago, I created a annual women's retreat that I do called Azinza, which means powerful. And every woman that attended, they left with a plaque with their name on it and the meaning of it. And they were charged with to really let it resonate. What does your name mean? There's power in words. What is it? What does your name mean? And so I thought, I'm going to do this. So I created these T-shirts where I researched your name and I put it on there along with the meaning. And so my name, which I've researched for many, many years, because my mother told me that she came up with my name in the middle of labor pains. And I said, you must have creative talents in the midst of a storm, because it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, yeah. Because there have been some names.
Yes. So I finally found the meaning of my name, and it means successful. Go figure, right?
Of course.
So I'm creating these T-shirts for individuals who maybe know what their name means or want to know, and I research it, and you get to wear it and you get to share, and it's a conversation piece. And you really get to empower others by sharing who you are from this perspective. So, and the monies will go to fund the incentives for the youth who are going to participate in my research project.
Wow. You're like, talk about making a way out of no way.
Yes.
And I love it. So I know you were hinting, because I want to, before we shift gears, are there things about the holidays or Thanksgiving that you like, in terms of, because I know you have so much wisdom to share, are there things about the holidays that you think people might be concerned about that you want to speak to?
Yes, the holiday time is very disheartening for a lot of people who have, lost loved ones. We know that that can be a trigger, missing them during, the holiday times, special times as such. And when I'm talking with someone that's grieving or, missing someone, my point is to tell them to find something that you can carry that will keep their legacy alive. It could be something that they said to you, something that they did. Recently, I had a cousin who lost her father, and he liked to fish. I said, I want you to just take a piece of wood, nail it together, and he's my uncle, I call him Uncle Joe, and put my father or Uncle Joe fished here. And so she did that, and she put it this in the ground near the fishing hole, is what we call it in the South, where he fished. And so many people, have, told her about how that has really, they've had so many positive things to say about it. I'm like, see, you're pushing his legacy forward. So during this time, during this holiday season, was it a favorite dish or item that was special to that person that you're missing, that you can take a moment to just embrace and share and cherish those good times and those good things? And there has to be something about that person that can forward their goodwill in your mind, and put you in a better emotional state of being. So that's what I
I
would
love
charge
it.
everyone to do.
Yeah, no, that is a beautiful way of honoring it. And so I was talking to a group earlier today, and people were worried about, not worried, but reflecting on the various new ways of doing holidays this year. So there's a lot of lamenting or regrets because you can't maybe do it as big or as expansive. And I like the idea of making sure that you can make sure that the people that you can't spend time with are represented at your table. So in lots of different ways, and making meaning for that and making sure that you include, I think could be really healing for a lot of people.
Very healing. It can be as easy as setting up a Zoom account. You get the first 40 minutes free if it's more than two people on there, and having the family log on and just have a time of gratitude, of Thanksgiving, and talking about that individual, and just encouraging each other, creating a journal, creating a drawing or something that depicts whom that person was in your life, and posting it and placing it somewhere, and making it an annual event, a quarterly event, that you go back and you reverence that memento.
I love it. I think that that would be just so wonderful, right? And unfortunately, I was hearing last night on Trevor that I think that Zoom on Thanksgiving is unlimited. So I don't think it's
Oh,
just 40
okay.
minutes. He was joking because he was saying,
Oh,
for those of us who were using the 40 minutes as a chance to like end those conversations earlier, we're going to have to like listen to maybe 3 hours of people going around and wanting to like keep you hostage on Zoom all day. But he said, I think I heard that it's unlimited on Thanksgiving. So no excuses to
oh,
not
yeah,
connect.
yeah.
Are there other words of wisdom, as like I know you have a long legacy and tradition of helping empower folks, right? Like multiple books, multiple ideas. Where should we start in terms of other impartations of wisdom, to share with our audience? Not only just about stress, but maybe there's an entrepreneur out there, or maybe there's somebody who has a book in their heart, or
Yeah.
maybe there's somebody who wants to do some project to help individuals. Choose one of those and like let's share and talk about, and let's hear also a little bit about your journey.
I would say whatever has been tugging at your heart, something that you've desired to do, but you're afraid, you're nervous about it, write it out. If
Hmm.
writing is the most amazing process that I think that there is out there, in terms of healing, in terms of organizing, orchestrating, putting things together. Just write it out. And I've written out things and just looked at them daily until till the pieces of the puzzle started, fitting in together: the who, the what, the how, the when. And I would say, don't be anxious, but just give it time to unfold, because it will in its due time. You mentioned that earlier. Sometimes we can rush to do things. Sometimes I get ideas and I'm like, oh, I gotta make this work. I'm like, no, you don't. Pull back, because you really don't have all the puzzle pieces to the puzzle yet. And you can do it. I've met with women who wanted, one young lady I met with, she wanted to start a book club, but her mom had really fashioned her and taught her to be a wife. That
Mm,
was going to be her role in life, was to be a wife. So she became a wife. She had children, and she did have a career. And she told her husband, there's something that's missing that I want to do. And he said, the kids are old enough, you can do it. You will not be taken away from the family structure by starting this book club. But those words from her mother, she couldn't move past them. So we sat and we worked through that. And she developed a plan, started the book club. The book club was so amazing. Someone that ran a women's support group in a housing complex invited her to come and help them start a book club. And then she just started doing more of those. Just one little idea. At first, she thought, it's really nothing. But she's like, no, I really want to do this. So if it's tugging at you and you find someone that you can talk to help you work through all the negative and the things that are holding you back from getting it started. And if it flops, that's okay. Pick it
Ooh.
up and keep going because you have more than one idea. Something growing up, my mom's like, don't have a one track mind. We don't have a one track mind. you
Yeah.
know and with again with every so much that's going on in the world today, you can pick and choose something. You can find something if you just can't think right off the bat what it is that you want to do or what you can do. But I am sure that you have something. Like I said, with the book project, I was working in Chicago one day, and my team of 6 managers, we were really engulfed in just some heavy work project that we were going to have to bring forward. And at the end of the work, I said, "Hey, let's just talk. Let's have a chit chat." And we were just sharing, and one of the ladies thought it she was okay to share about an experience where she was robbed going to Cook County Hospital. And when the robbers asked for her jewelry and everything, she was okay with that. But when they called her ugly, it just hit her and she could not let go of it because she had been teased and called ugly as a child. So yeah, she was re-traumatized, and she's like, I just couldn't get past. I couldn't get past all the way home. My family's like, are you okay? And I was just livid. And she said for days she just could not live it down. So I'm driving back from Chicago, and it just resonated in my spirit that I need to get, that would be an amazing story to share. And just wrote it out, put it together. Ugly ended up being the title of the book. She shared her story, and then I was able to bring in 8 other women to share their stories of things that had happened to them in their lives that impacted their self-worth and their self-esteem. And we moved forward with the book. We all absorbed the cost of the book, of publishing the book. So that made it easy because I didn't have any money. I didn't have the money to do it. And they earned royalties. So they were able to earn monies, and they earned money on selling the book. And it created a platform for them to then share with women about their lived experiences. It opened up so many doors for them.
Yeah.
um, so again, just an idea that came forward, and just letting it manifest by thinking about the how, the who, the when, the how, and the what. Again, it,
So people are going to be like, now say that one more time slowly so that they can get it all down. But
yes,
yeah. So slow it down and say it one more time so that they'll
the
know.
how, the who, the why, the what, and the when. Five pieces that you need to answer before you move forward with whatever this idea that you want to do. And don't think, oh, this is stupid. Nobody is going to want to do this, because in the back of my mind, I thought, who's going to want to read about our stories? The world is probably oversaturated with books. Yes, I wasn't concerned about it being a bestseller. What I wanted it to do was reach one person and change their lives.
Mm.
And that was okay with me, and that was okay with all the women that wrote. Well, it reached more than one person, and it changed many lives, so we were elated. And then I did volume 2, which focused on grief and loss, and I pulled in women who had suffered grief and loss, and to share how they overcame. And yes, we all connected it to a form of religion and our faith. And I do have a third volume that's in the works, but I've had to put it on the back burner because I got to finish this degree first.
And you weren't told to get that one out
I
yet.
was
So
told not
you're
to get
being
that one.
obedient this time.
Absolutely. And then I have a series for men that we're going to work on because some of the spouses and partners of the women said, "Hey, what about us?" And I said, "Are you really going to be vulnerable and share your stories?" And
Mm,
they said, "Yes, we are. We need to tell it because we feel like that will solidify the healing process for us. And we can walk worthy as in the role of being the men, the husbands, the wife, the husbands, the uncles that we are." So that is going to come forward as well.
So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about the title of ugly, right? So is
Yes,
it an acronym or tell me about the meaning
it
about
is.
like
Sure, it is an acronym and it stands for Uncovering God's Love for You.
okay.
Because when I first was given the title ugly, I and this is, you're probably gonna laugh, but I went back to the color purple and that
Uh-huh.
scene in color purple, and I said, no, who's gonna read? No, no, nobody. When you see the word ugly, you think of awful things.
Mm,
But through prayer, I heard, no, it's my love for the women, for everyone that seek me, that can help them overcome.
mhm.
And that has been the premise of Ugly, uncovering God's love for you because his love conquers all.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. So I can imagine some folks are out there like Googling and searching and doing that because it sounds like there would be some inspiration, a lot of inspirational
Yes,
stories.
yes.
So and the grief and loss one in this moment probably
Mhm.
really needed in seen. Is it also called Ugly?
It is called Ugly Volume 2.
Okay.
Yes,
Because
yes.
again, in this moment, people are looking for so many resources around grief and loss. Because I think, I don't know if you're like me, I don't think we grieve well. I don't think we have a lot of grief tools. We
Mhm,
don't talk
mhm,
about grief well. I
mhm.
think that there's so much pressure to keep moving forward that we
Yeah.
it trips us up.
It definitely trips us up. And within the African American community, we've we've been taught to hold it in. You got to be strong. Whatever happened in this family, we keep it to ourselves. We don't share it. We don't go to therapy. We don't tell people our business. It's time to tell people the business so that you can get whole and so you can walk in wholeness and you can be healed and you can be well. Because mentally, oh my gosh, carrying that heaviness, it impacts your physical well-being. It impacts your emotional well-being. It impacts every aspect of your life. And sometimes you're walking around and you don't know what's going on. You just can't seem like you're in the midst of things and that you're functioning because you're carrying all of that, and you gotta get it out. You gotta let it go. We have to grieve. Yes, and that process looks different from everyone else. If we look at the components of the grieving process, you have the bargaining stage and you're questioning, well, what, maybe if this would have happened or that would have happened, they wouldn't have died or this wouldn't have happened to them. I should have done this. And then you move on to the other phases, and some those phases can include you being angry,
Mhm.
because for whatever reason, you could have taken on the ownership of what happened, or angry at the person because of whatever that happened. And inward, you're depressed.
Yeah.
So talking about it and getting to a manageable state of
Yeah.
well-being, and knowing that when triggers come, you have the resources, you have the resilience to manage them. And
Yeah.
it's a day by day process. And again, like I said, it's different for everyone. Usually when I'm dealing with a loss or situation, I journal, and then I go to every positive aspect that I can about the situation or the person, and I let that continue to resonate in my spirit until the heaviness lifts. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you've mentioned that twice, the looking for the good in every situation as a way to guide your thinking, your process.
Mhm. Yes.
So I have couple more questions, and I know it's just been so great talking to you. So one of the things that you mentioned, because I think in this moment where some people are dealing with loneliness or like disconnection, because you could be surrounded by people and still not feel like you get the support you need. So there is somebody out there who wants to start a program or has a dream or wants to help or write that book, and they have a lot of gremlins in their head with no's and you can't and you're not good enough. And you mentioned that they should find support. How do somebody go about getting that support, or what are your recommendations about doing that? And I know you've formed a number of women's communities, but if you have tips and strategies for folks out there who are like, I'm not connected to anybody who shares, my dreams or goals or aspiration, where do I begin?
I do consulting. I do that. I many times meet with women just to have that conversation. And usually, and really, in my consulting business, the first 30 minutes is free, and at the 30 minutes they're charged. Sometimes they don't come back, and then I check on them. I'm like, "How's it going?" And they're going. So and if not me, someone else who who's working their business,
Okay.
just pulling them aside and asking them, how did you get started? And usually hearing their story can be so empowering. And you will see that many didn't start with a golden spoon or a ton of money in their hand,
Mm.
but because they were so passionate about it, there's a will. Where there's a will, there's a way. They figured it out. And so the more that you can talk to people who that you see that have advanced in starting their business and hear their story, I think it can really impact you to let go of that negativity and that fear and launching out there. And I'm open to talking with and speaking with anyone who would just like a few minutes to just openly share, these are my fears, these are my worries, and I promise you I can help you work right through those.
But that is super helpful.
Sorry.
So you're saying, oh, you said a couple things. One, A, you're available, and right, I hope people take you up on. And B, you said a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And
That's my
so that you are encouraging folks who need support to look for it, to ask for it, to also, and this is a hard piece for people who have experienced traumas and no's and roadblocks. Sometimes they start anticipating the no, but you
yeah.
said work and listen for the yes. And so it sometimes you might have to ask a couple people, but you believe that there's a village of people who want to help you, who want to invest in your dreams. And sometimes you can catch fire by just listening to their stories or reading or exploring. So look for people who've been walked down the path, and let them guide you. I think that that's a very inspiring piece.
And if individuals don't have the time to reach out, like for me, you have my email address, my personal email address, feel free to share that. I can type up a short dissertation of my experiences. I have had a lot of experiences, and share that to inspire whomever how to get started. And if you again, if you've received no's and people told you, oh, that's the most stupidest idea I've ever heard. No, and again, if it's really, really resonating in your spirit, and without a shadow of a doubt, this is something that you want to do, let's do it. Let's do it.
I
I definitely will go beyond the call of duty, making sure that I'm encouraging and pushing people to go forward. Try it. What is it going to hurt if you don't try?
Yeah.
you know yeah. And I have some time. The semester is getting ready to end, and I'm waiting on, I have all my ducks in a row. I'm waiting on my IRB approval, so I can't move, can't do anything right now. So this would be a good time to reach out.
Love it. I do hope people might, take advantage, but also just in the small way, take out those sheets of paper. I have really been reflecting again throughout COVID,
Mhm.
um, about what it would take for more people to love on each other, feel connected, feel empowered, create healing. It's so you mentioned this. It's so tempting to get caught up in all of the no's and lack of possibility, that I think it stops people from dreaming, and it also keeps our communities from healing.
Yes.
And I would hope, if nothing else, that a lot of people who might tune in would take out that sheet of paper and write down what's the thing in their heart. Like, what is the thing, where is the thing that you're concerned about, that you could do something about, and then make a commitment in this season, right?
Yes.
To do something about it. So maybe it's the extra contribution to something, or to some people that you think are doing great work, or maybe it's the commitment to virtual volunteering, or maybe it's the creating of a workbook or a tip sheet or whatever that you can share with other people, or maybe it's the book in your heart, or the program that you could design, or the policy that you could advocate for, because you might be a policy person that like is looking at school board and thinking, ooh, this could be the time that I could say or do something different. So I would love, and so I'm going to invite people on to visit social media, the Trauma and Resiliency social media. And if you've got like a dream in your heart that you'd like to share, it would be wonderful in this season of Thanksgiving for us to see and celebrate with you how you have been inspired and what is your dream.
And I'm going to check your social media pages to see who's writing what and respond if that's okay.
Oh, I would love that. I think people would welcome that. Yeah, so that would be really, really exciting. So, because I think once you catch fire, right, like you realize like you're in a community of dreamers, it's easier to catch a dream.
Yes, absolutely. And the library is a good place. They have a lot of virtual workshops. I just completed several on writing, the plot in a story because I've written a children's book and I have more.
What haven't you done?
I know. I tell people my ADHD is working for me. It's either medication or I'm just driven. So I chose not to take the medication and to let it drive me.
I love it.
So I've been taking some classes on writing, how to write, how to start your story, how to write your plot, and they're free and they're online. And it has been amazing. Do we have the time I can share this one little bit?
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
first class that I took on how to start a story, she gave us a picture, and it was just of this lady laying on the ground. And she said, "Write what do you see in this picture? Two sentences." Then we wrote even more, and we created a story. And all of our stories were totally different. And it was not the reality of the picture, but that picture started a chapter in each of our books that was amazing. The woman had just climbed to the top of this mountain and she was tired and she just laid there on the rock, and the coolness of the rock was in reality was what she was getting rejuvenation. And we all took that picture and we went in so many different directions because our minds, our creativity, and I'm telling you, if everyone that took that one session follow up with what they wrote, it's going to be a great read for everybody.
I love that. Was another little nugget you threw out there. Like, use your resources in the community. There are free and available resources that you're asking us to take care of. I have stole this and I can't figure out who I stole it, but one of the recommendations in COVID was that each of us have something that allows us to do things that are mindful. And you mentioned that in your talk around slowing down and staying connected to source and just really listening to the small, still voice, that we do things that allow us to have mastery. And you've mentioned that throughout our entire conversation, because mastery builds neuroplasticity and it helps. We talk about things that are meaningful. And how many times throughout our talk have you demonstrated and illustrated the power of aligned with meaningful, like what meaningful to your heart and your spirit and your philosophy about the world. And then the last M, like we didn't talk about, but also was around movement. And you talked about having people engaged in activity and looking for opportunities. And I just was like, so you in your life have demonstrated the power of the 4 M's, and what people have talked about in terms of COVID is that it's the way to help us deal with stress and adversity and coping.
Yes.
And I want to give you the final moments, but I want to say one more plug. If you are struggling with coping, remember the Trauma and Resiliency Initiative is offering a lot of, we have some virtual office hours, and we are having people do like plugins on our social media and Facebook. So if you want a mindful moment, you can go and find a video, or if you want to listen to a brief talk, we invite you to check. And if there are things that we haven't done that you need, let us know, because we'll go find brilliant people like Miss Sharva, and we'll be like, hey, we got resources.
Yes.
And we also really encourage you to share those dreams and wishes. And it doesn't have to be well spelled out, doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be sophisticated. We just want you to share. So I did our last trauma and resiliency plug. And so the rest of the time is yours. Any final words of wisdom for our audience? I so appreciate you being here. It felt so good.
I am so happy to be here. As you were talking, I was thinking about a line of gift cards that focuses on COVID. Somebody needs to develop that. Hand drawn cards. Come on out. Now, come on, somebody put that together. But my friend sent me this message this morning, and it was part of her daily read. And I thought that I would share it if I was given the opportunity. Actually, it's two little pieces here. Let's see. The first one she sent me, actually yesterday, it says, leaving a legacy starts before you leave the earth. The best legacy to leave is one that encourages and inspires others to live their best life now. Gather your life lessons, wisdom, and knowledge and share it with others. Then the second one says, you absolutely have the ability to follow your passion, fulfill a public or personal need, and make a legacy of yourself within the structure of your 9 to 5, your family life, or your daily grind. Now is the time to pursue passions within the time we have. Come
Thank you
on.
so very.
Let's
Oh
do
yeah,
this.
thank you, and thank you for being such a wonderful example of that, and being such an inspiration right here, right in the Champaign-Urbana community. So we do not have to look outside of our own backyard to find such a wonderful resource and treasure. So thank you so much. I
So
think,
welcome.
yeah, thank you.
It has been such an honor. Thank you for having me.